Welcome back to the NFL Draft Special at Through the Lane Podcast. Today we're going to talk about Shedeur, Sanders, and Cam Ward, the top three quarterbacks in the draft. Evaluating the defensive line and defensive end draft class, and talking about players that I'm excited about to see in the Combine. We'll touch up on a few, because the Combine starts tomorrow. And starting off with the Shedeur and Cam Ward thing, there's talks of, the gap being bigger and, just there's being a gap. Well, and people, or it's either there's a gap or there's not. And, reports came out like a day or two ago that people don't like his moxie and the way he is, because he said he's not going to throw, or he's not going to fully participate, which isn't a good look with all the questions around him. I think he's a little too cocky. I get Josh Rosen vibes from him as a person. I get it, he's Deion's son, but he hasn't really won anything. He won like the HBCU title, which pretty good, but at the same time, that's not going to get you far. Your dad's Deion Sanders. It's like nepotism's going to get him in the door. How far through the door can he go? I view him more as a game manager, and I view Cam Ward as more of a game changer. Cam Ward's got a big arm. He made some insane plays. So does Shedeur. Shedeur has great pocket presence, great poise, great anticipation. Doesn't have the greatest arm, but I think he's a good field general. I think he's kind of like between Jared Goff and Brock Purdy. Don't think he has the arm Brock Purdy has, but I think he's better than Jared Goff. I would like to see him run around more. When you look at Cam Ward's got a cannon, and Cam Ward's a heck of a leader. And outside of the issue where he didn't play half the ball game, it's just, he looks a lot better. And the more and more you put each other's tape beside each other, you're like, yeah, Cam Ward's a lot better. I don't care. Well, so I went through the whole episode and finished it up. It's down around 6:25. Went to go look at my phone. Was not recorded, which is a shame because it was a good episode. So it only got about the first 3 minutes of it, maybe even a minute and a half. So what I'm doing is I come back, did what I needed to do, and I'm recording now. It's 8:39. The Luka Mavericks game is about to happen, but we're gonna pick up right where we left off, and it was the reason why I separate Shedeur from Cam Ward from Shedeur, and then Jackson Dart Shedeur, and then the rest of them, where I think they best go, right? Cam Ward has a big arm. I don't even know where I exactly left off. He has a big arm. He's just uber. He's athletic. He's athletic, but he's poised. He's the modern quarterback. Shedeur, he's arrogant. He's a game manager. Great anticipation, great accuracy, but holds the ball way too long. Holds it way too long. To the point where, he's trying to make big plays, and he just went on too long. We saw this with Caleb Williams, right? And he ended up being the most sacked quarterback. And now that's the issue with Shedeur. Shedeur, for me, we're about to talk about teams. I just don't. My brain's also kind of dead because I explained it all, but I'm bringing it back, right? So, Cam Ward, there's a bigger gap between 1 and 2 than there is from 2 to 3. Jackson Dart's pretty good. Shedeur's floor is higher, but his ceiling is lower because Shedeur does not have the arm strength. Jackson Dart has pretty good arm strength, but he either be really good or he's going to be terrible, right? He's got to clean up a few things. I haven't really watched his tape much. I watched it with Kurt Benkert. Kurt Benkert, great guy. Doesn't do a great job of evaluating. He just is like, this is, the quarterback still got, I don't know why everybody's hating him. Like, he's a quarterback lover. And it's like, brother, I need you to evaluate the quarterback. And I'll be like, I don't know why people are saying this about him. That's what I did. Well, Kurt Benkert, you were trash. Smart mind, but you weren't good. But I think, and I saw this before, and we're going to start going into the teams. The scenarios I think that would go good for the quarterbacks, right? So Jackson Dart, I saw this. The Seahawks go draft Jackson Dart in the back of the first round. I think that would be great, right? I think that actually makes the most sense for the Seahawks is to go draft Geno Smith's replacement. Because Geno Smith, let's be honest, it's his last year of his deal. He's about to be a journeyman starter and be a veteran starter and just start for about 3 more years and be out of the league. Not because he's bad, but he's not great. He's not really good. He's average, enough to get the job done, but not anything to push you over the hump. Jackson Dart can push you over the hump, but Geno Smith has a year left on his deal. You give him Jackson Dart that 1 year to develop, then he comes out guns a-blazing. You've seen the greats, right? Judd, Mahomes, Drake May did it. Hurts did it. There's a few guys I'm drawing blanks, right? It's late in the day. Where they sat for a year and it's good. Plus, these guys need a lot more work, right? They're going to need a lot more work to be better. Shedeur, listen, so we're gonna break it down from 1 down, right? 1, if I'm Tennessee, realistically, going quarterback. I don't care what it is. I'm going quarterback. And Cam Ward probably does not start the year for me, just because you gave him 4 or 5 games. But I know they may trade back, or they may go Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. If they trade back, it's either 3 or 8. The Raiders or Giants are going to move up, right? And I honestly think the Raiders will, which, dear Lord Almighty. I think it's the best because if I'm Kim Ward, I want to go to the Titans, right? This is a young team developing. You have Dave Canales. You have, I think that's who it is. You have Calvin Ridley. No. Yes. You have Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, Chigakonkwo, and Nikini Westbrook Akine. Which you can add another receiver in this draft class and be your true number 3. You have J.C. Latham and you have Peter Skoronski. You can get another tackle in the second round. Ariante Arceria, Wyatt Williams to play guard, Marcus Bow to play guard, Donovan Jackson to bounce around. Then you go and you look at, you have Tony Pollard as your running back. I mean, there's potential with this offense, right? You put a Cam Ward in it, you're going to take the top off, right? Tyler Boyd may be able to rediscover what he had. Chigakonkwo was a good tight end. Nikini Westbrook Akine is a really good red zone threat. It's a great situation, right? Then you go to the Giants, right? The Titans don't take and go to the Giants. I still like it. The offensive line's the worst situation because you don't know what you're going to do with Andrew Neal. Andrew Thomas, God love him, is constantly injured. You have Schmidt, the center. He's solid, but good. Not going to knock your shoes off, but he's good. And Limanor, solid, he's pretty good. That's about it, right? Evan Neal, you don't know what's going on. Andrew Thomas is always hurt. So you pretty much got 2 out of the 5 guys, right? And same with the Titans, but the Titans have their 2 guys are really good. Andrew Thomas you can add in there, and you got 3, but injury prone, right? And they have someone else. Petit, he came from Ohio State. So say he falls, you then have a 1-year deal because Dayball is in his last year, right? This is his make it or break it year. If they struggle at all, you're then putting another coordinator in his hands, right? Yes, you got Malik Neighbors. Yes, you got Theo Johnson and Bellinger. Yes, you got Wandale Robinson, who I'm not high on. I see the talent, but he's just not put it out there yet. You're going to lose Darius Slayton. I just don't see it, right? I mean, you'd be good for the Giants. If I'm a quarterback, I want Titans, Raiders, Browns, Giants, right? Just because I love what the Browns have. Jerry Jeudy, it's underrated what he talked about. Everyone's like, they need another receiver. Yes, but they don't need a 1. They don't need another 1. Jerry Jeudy's your 1. Jerry Jeudy had a heck of a year. There's another guy who was the 2, and he did pretty darn good as the 2. I forget his name. But you go to the Giants, and you start to run into issues. It's a chaotic front office. You're not going to be put in the best situations, right? So then you have all these issues. So if I'm Cam Ward, I'm going to the Titans facility when I do that workout, and I knock their socks off. Because if not, you're going to be a Giant, and you're going to be in a terrible situation, right? And maybe I'm just not high on Dayball, right? Now, Cam Ward does not fall past them, right? If the Titans don't end up, say the Titans take Abdul Carter, and Cam Ward falls to 2, Cam Ward's a Cleveland Brown. Because now Cleveland doesn't have their guy. Again, in my mock draft, and I'm going to go in this for a while, Travis Hunter is not a top 5 pick. And he's top 5 talent, not a top 5 pick. And I explained that in the last mock draft episode. And there'll be one coming out after the Combine, which is tomorrow, which I will try to make the next episode, next Tuesday, about. But the Browns didn't take him, and if I'm Cam Ward, I'd be fine with that. Anything but the Giants, really. Because it's such a poverty team. Them and the Jets, but the Jets aren't going to take a quarterback because they got other needs. And really, teams would trade up above them just for the sake of the quarterbacks. So you then go to the Browns, right? Solid offensive, not terrible, not good, but not terrible, right? You're still figuring out the running back game. Now, yeah, the Titans do have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, right? So that's a little bit better. You need a thumper, though. Figuring out the running game, but you can get one. Get the second overall pick in the second round. If Travion Henderson or Amari Hampton fall, which I project them to, you then take one of them. Because you've got your backfield of the future, right? Then you have Jerry Jeudy and that other receiver, and you figure out tight end in a loaded tight end class. I mean, shoot, you take Gunnar Helm, you fix that offense. You first 3 picks of your offense, right? And I know last episode I was like, the trenches. But when you're fixing up an offense, you need weapons. And then you just spend money. They can't even spend money because of the Deshaun Watson deal. But you're now building a young core. Right? You're still going to suck for another year. You trade Myles Garrett. You get a future haul. You go out and you get somebody next year, like this kid out of Ole Miss that I'm going to bring up in a second. Shuntain Perkins, who's a dog. But, the Browns, I think the Browns take him. Now, if Cam Ward goes 1, the Browns take Abdul Carter. Hands down. You get your Myles Garrett replacement. I mean, and the more this goes on, the more the process goes on. I mean, I just read an article while in between the episodes. Abdul Carter is one of the most hyped defensive end prospects since Myles Garrett. He's more hyped than Aiden Hutchinson, and I mean, it's very much understandable, right? Now to Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur going to the Giants, I know it'd be good, but I just don't think, for him, I don't think that's a good situation. Because he's a game manager, right? In my opinion, he'd be feeding Malik Neighbors and Theo Johnson. Wando Robinson would get a little bit, you have Tyrone Tracy, but again, you're in a team that, like, the clock is ticking. You've got 1 year. What'd you see with Caleb Williams? They started firing dudes left, right, center, and it was terrible. Do you if I'm anything, I'm doing, like, if I'm the Raiders, I trade up. If I'm the Giants, I don't know what you do, right? Because obviously you've got to put Daboll first. And if you do, and Daboll flames out, you've now given this rookie quarterback who needs time, right? And this is already a bad offensive line with the guy that holds onto the ball way too much. And Cam Ward does it to an extent. But Cam Ward does not. I mean, Shedeur has great pocket presence and poise. But to the point where it gets him in trouble because he holds on the ball so long, he takes gnarly hits, right? Gnarly hits. So, say he doesn't go to the Giants. Right? Say he doesn't go to the Giants, right? Say Cam Ward somehow passes the top 2 picks and the Giants take Cam Ward, right? Next up is the Raiders. Or the Raiders trade up. If I'm Shedeur, I want to go to Vegas, right? Because this, I think, is the best possible situation for you. Because you have Tom Brady, who's an owner, be your mentor, right? The greatest quarterback of all time, and I will say that. You have Pete Carroll, a great head coach. You have Brock Bowers, who's the best tight end in football already, I will say that, as a security blanket, right? You have Jacoby Myers. Now you just need an offensive line and a running game. The running game will sort itself out. You'll find someone in this draft class. Early, that 8th pick in that second round, I don't care if you take a quarterback or not, you go and get a tackle or somebody. You got DJ Glaze and you got your center. You now need to figure out your left guard, and right tackle. And this is your class to do it. Get an Ariante Ursary, who has high upside, a lot of work. You get a Marcus Bowe. I didn't think you'd take Marcus Bowe that high. You get a Donovan Jackson who can play guard and tackle for you. A Wyatt Willem. drawing a blank on names. But you get one of those type of guys, you're starting to build things around this. In the third or fourth round, in the third round, you go to offensive lineman again. Fourth round, you can take something like an ETN something, and you've got your running back of the future. You bring in a Javonte Williams. You've got your backfield of the future. And you're moving for. You can get Scadaboo probably in the fourth round. And I said this earlier. I said earlier in the cycle. Scadaboo and shedeur would be a nasty matchup. You get a thumper and a sniper. Yes, shedeur's not going to snipe you downfield, but he's got amazing anticipation and accuracy. I mean, he's the total opposite of Joe Milroe. We'll talk about Milroe in just a minute. But if I'm the Raiders, realistically, with how devoid this team is of talent, I trade back. If Cam Moore goes to the Titans and shedeur goes to the Giants and Cam Moore goes to the Titans, right? I think I said that right. I trade back to 15 or 16. I get some more picks. Again, you need all the help you can get. And I take Jackson Dart. You're not going to start him right away, which is fine. No issue with that. He's going to sit for a year. You bring in a Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, a Kirk Cousins, right? Gardner Minshew's already there. I think he's a 2-year deal. But you bring those guys in. You give Jackson Dart sit for a year. Learn from Tom Brady. You got Brock Bowers as your tight end. Jacoby Myers is a real good number 2. He's a good number 2. Not really good, but good. You draft your number 1 receiver, or you sign T. Higgins. You draft your number 1 receiver the next year, right? I don't know who's coming out in that class, just necessarily. But you then fix it, right? You've got more picks, so you can then take, some secondary guys, some linemen, and you help load. I mean, you get like two or three more picks, right? And you get good value for Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart could go as high as 15. It depends if teams trade back. Like the Titans trade back, right? The Titans trade back to 15. And they go and they give the Cardinals the number 1 overall pick. The Cardinals send them a haul, right? They go give them Paris Johnson and their first round pick and another first and a 4th, right? Or not even James Conner, somebody on the defense, right? But Buda Baker, Titans can take Jackson Dart, and you move forward with that. Because then you can sign a Mac Jones, have him sit for half a year or so, and move forward. And y'all play ball. I think again, that'd be great. I think Jackson Dart's this outlier here that can go high up. But if he falls to Seattle, if I'm Seattle, I'd be dumb not to take him. Because then what? He's going to fall to 8 in the second round, and he's going to have another chance to pass through. He won't make it past that second group, right? So you make it through the first round. You have the second running of those QB need teams, right? 2 of them have taken their quarterbacks. Well, you got the run of who's left. Someone is going to take Jackson Dart. If you're Seattle, he's not making it out of the top 10 picks in that second round. You've got to take him, right? You've got to address that need. Maybe you trade back a spot and you get a 4th and you get an extra pick and then you take him. Because really, I mean, shoot, you could probably trade back with the Titans. So the Titans get a tackle. And then get Jackson Dart with the 31st overall pick. And that'd be even better because then you've got 2 or 3 more picks to move forward with, right? A name that you need to watch for that, Tyler Shuck. He's older, but he can throw. I saw him do like a sidearm throw. He's smart. He's learned 3 different systems. He's talented. It's his age and injuries. And we'll see at the combine how it goes. The big guy that I wouldn't be surprised to get is QB4, and then you got Dylan Gabriel's QB5. A guy that's dropped a lot, and I talked about in this previous recording, Jalen Milroe. Right? I think he's the same right now as Anthony Richardson is right now, and it's pretty bad. He can't. Listen, I was scouting, because I'll end up ranting about this when I go to the defensive tackle class. And I talk about Omar Norman a lot. Watching that game, Milroe actively lost the bam of their game. I'm watching this, and yeah, the pass rush was not bad, but at times he's holding the ball way too long. There's a crosser wide open. If he throws that crosser, he overthrows him, or he gets it behind him. You're just like, what are we doing here? I mean, there was like three times where he's got a wide open running back in the flats, and guess what he does? Sails it over him. He puts too much on it. Kurt Benkirk said this, and some other people were like, yeah, he could go high. That Senior Bowl was rough, and the more you watch the tape, you're like, man, it's bad. Kurt Benkirk said, you let him start with stagger feet, which is true. He's got to start with stagger feet. When he's on the run and he's throwing short to intermediate, it's bad. I mean, he overthrows. And I think Anthony Richardson's showing that, man, he's got that much talent, but when he's that raw, it's a risk. And I just don't know, maybe the Browns take him, right? Or the Steelers. I don't even think the Steelers should take him. I don't think the Steelers have a good QB developing group. But someone does, right? Colts. That'd be terrible. But you get what I'm putting down. Someone takes him, gives him a chance to sit for 2 or 3 years because there's no need. There's no, you don't need him to start right away, right? Jets. Jets take him. Giants. He'd be like a Joe Milton. I'm not taking that late, but like, it's there. And you let him sit, he might work out, but listen here, he's got 2 years to me. He's got 2 years. If he doesn't show like he can be a very good quarterback, you switch him over to running back. Or slot receiver. Because he's fast. He can run. I mean, there's no doubting his athleticism and his running ability. But he's so inaccurate when it comes to short to intermediate throws. I mean, it's painful. It is painful. I recommend you watching the Tennessee D-line versus Alabama offensive line 2024. The cut-up, it's about like 8 minutes long. Because Alabama was winning that game for a bit. That second half, was probably one of the worst performances I've seen. He missed multiple... it was... And yeah, he was getting disrupted, but it was multiple throws. It just got out of hand. And to the point where they were just like running. Like they could not let it was like they ran 4 straight times. They couldn't they stopped letting Milroe throw the ball. They said, you can't. You can't. And it's so Ryan Williams is getting frustrated. I know he was overshadowed by Jeremiah Smith, and Jeremiah Smith is one hell of an athlete. One hell of a talent. Probably go down as the best receiver of all time in college football. Ryan Williams is no scrub. Ryan Williams is up there with him. If Milroe did not struggle that second half of the year, they win more games. They definitely beat Tennessee. They're in the playoffs. But Ryan Williams is up there, right? I have Will Howard over Milroe. I have Dylan Gabriel over Milroe. I have Tyler Shuck over Milroe. Milroe's going to be a late draft pick. He went from being... He had that game against Georgia, everyone being like, he might be the number 1 overall pick. And I think I said on the episode, I was like, yeah, this guy's the truth. To then him falling apart the rest of the season. And him not even looking like a top 150 pick. Right? Like, it was so bad. It was so bad. Right? But again, it's going to be an interesting class. These guys are going to need extra development than last year's class and classes before. Because they're further away. But now, we're going to break down the D-line and edge class, right? I'm going to start with D tackles. Right? We're going to go with tiers and then explain the tiers. Tier 1, Mason Graham. There's no explanation needed. He's a safe pick. You take him in the top 5, you're getting an all-pro. He's going to play minimum 10 years, if healthy. He's great control blocks, great hands, fast, strong, physical, disruptive. It's an issue. It's an issue, right? So that's tier 1. Tier 2, Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan, in that order. Kenneth Grant, and he may have benefited from playing with Mason Graham, is Jordan Davis-esque with a better pass rushing upside. Because he's a little bit quicker. I think Jordan Davis is kind of slow. Jordan Davis is a 2-down defensive lineman. And I think I even have Kenneth Grant on here with he's not a 3rd-down player. Right? Can be. I full-heartedly believe he can develop into it. But I just don't know right away. Where's his thing, right? Where's his... Strong, huge, good block control, great run defender, powerful, Jordan David-esque, and not a third down player, right? He moves people. Now, he was getting a lot of one-on-ones because Mason Graham was getting double teamed about every snap. But he looked good. And then you had Josiah Stewart as an edge. But, man, he did good. He's fast. He's dominant. I mean, he's huge. That brother, I think his peak is he plays 3 downs and he's like a 6 to 7 sack a year person. And he gives you double-digit tackle for losses. And he's a top 5 D tackle in the league, right? I think Mason Graham ends up being a top 3 at his peak. Kenneth Grant's going to be great, right? Then Walter Nolan. Walter Nolan's a lot rawer. I think Kenneth Grant's going to be a day one, start massive impact. Walter Nolan's a lot rawer. And my player comp for him, and I said it on here, he's got a Jalen Carter-esque build. And he's got Jalen Carter-esque talent. He's not as polished. Like Jalen Carter, when he came out, and he got arrested or whatever, and he had all those issues. The issue was that, and so you look at him going 8 or 9, you're like, man, that's a steal. Like that he fell that far. He's so much better than a lot of people in that class. So you then put that forward, right? This is what I have him. Powerful, could use his hands more. 3-4 DT, 4-3 defensive tackle, 3-4 defensive end. Pass rush will need some work. Good in the run game. Raw Jalen Carter. Stands up too tall at times. Strong against double teams. He doesn't get pushed back, but he doesn't push forward. He just holds his ground. All right. Needs to lower pads. Gives up inside shoulder too much in pass rush. So what he does when he's going up against the guard is he tries to swim in or swim to the outside, but it's not quick enough or strong enough. So they get a hold of his inside shoulder and he starts getting pushed backwards. And it's an issue. It happened way too much on film for me. Now, at times you're like, holy cow, he's manhandling these guys. Like Jalen Carter. And you're just like, whoa. He'll play right away. Do I think he's the 11th overall pick to the 49ers that I thought he was? No. Do I think that the 49ers could take a Kenneth Grant and maybe fair? Yes. Yes, because he'd help change that offense. He's not the hybrid, uber-athletic D tackle that Walter Nolan or some of these other guys are. But, man, he looks good. Kenneth Grant's the same pick, but Walter Nolan, he's going to need time. He's going to be an all-pro. He has the potential to be an all-pro D tackle. I mean, again, Jalen Carter-esque build. Jalen Carter-esque play type. It's just not consistent enough. It needs some work. And we'll talk about consistency with Deon Walker, and I'll go on a long rant about that, right? But that's tier 2. Tier 3 is Darius Alexander, Derek Harmon, TJ Sanders, Omar Norman Lott, and Tyler Williams. We're going to start with Tyler Williams because he won the national championship. There's a lot there to like. There's a lot there to like. Inconsistent, leaves much to be desired. You can see in the tea leaves he can be a monster. Just a lot to be desired. A lot left to be desired. And which is crazy. He should have put up better numbers because he had JTT on one side, and I'll try to pronounce his name later, and Jack Sawyer on the other side, and Ty Hamilton beside him. All 4 D linemen are going to get drafted, right? All 4 NFL talent. He just didn't perform. At times, he just didn't look like it. He looked more like a rotational player in the NFL than he did what would be a star player that we saw earlier in the year, right? But there's 3 guys in this I love. Darius Alexander, Derek Harmon, and Omar Norman Lott. I'll explain that in a second. The guy I'm leaving out is TJ Sanders. And I get a lot of inspiration, and I get a lot of some of my knowledge from the Todd McShay show with Todd McShay and Stephen Mount. And Stephen Mount said TJ Sanders is his first round pick, and Todd McShay had him there, and he said he's better than Derek Harmon because he can do it on his own more. Derek Harmon's a lot of stunts. When I watch tape, and credit, he is a long-time scout, right? This is my first year ever trying. So he's a lot better than I am. But my opinion, I don't see it. Now, I can be 100% wrong, but I don't see it. I see TJ Sanders being a project, not a bad project, but he's going to need some time. What did I put on him for Tyler Williams? We'll go back to that. Good with double teams, holds his ground. Good hands, good one for one-on-ones. At times, he gets too high Only way Rutgers stopped him in the running game was by double teaming him. They blew holes through. I mean, they attacked him with double teams. Strong, stout up the middle. Needs work with rushing the passer. Massive potential, though. Good floor, decent ceiling. Raw, needs some extra work. I don't have him going up. I don't have him going down. That pretty much is what I wrote. I watched like 3 games, Oregon and Rutgers. Rutgers, I wanted to see more, right? I mean, it's Rutgers. What more do I need to say? But I just didn't see enough. TJ Sanders. Milton Williams-esque. 3-4 defensive lineman, 4-3 D end. 4-3 D lineman. Strong. Good versus run. Gives up his inside shoulder. Good hands. Could improve hands in pass rush. Good bull rush. He can bull rush. When I say pass rush, swiping defenders' hands. Swimming with. He did the same. It was like Walter Nolan. It was a Walmart version of Walter Nolan, where he gives up his he does it. So, he doesn't do it so good at all to where like they just catch his inside shoulders and he's out of the play, right? Built like Milton Williams, can play a little bit of 3-4 defensive end or 4-3 defensive end, but he's more of a middle and interior defensive lineman. Potential's there. It took Milton Williams till this year to show his potential. And Milton Williams is still young, and Milton Williams is going to get a bag. So that's not a knock on him. I don't have a first-round grade on him. And again, that's not a bad thing. He didn't even show out. Dylan Storr and Kyle Kennard did. Demetrius Knight did. Nick Inamari, he looked fast. I mean, I started to be like, holy cow. Number 7, who is this guy? I looked him up and I said, that's Nick. That's my number 2 safety. Now I see why. But I just don't see it. Derek Harmon, let me find his scouting report, right? Quick, good versus run, pretty good pass rusher, misses a lot of tackles. He tackles high, unarmed tackles. He'd probably have 3 to 4 more sacks if he tackled properly. There was a lot of times where he got in the backfield and the quarterback was able to duck and get out of it, or just pull his shoulders and he got out of it. But he was moving guys. All right, just getting to the quarterback. Right, and it's what you love to see. Do I think he'll be a superstar? No. Do I think he's a very solid D tackle? Yes. Texans, I don't think he'll fall to the Texans in the second round. I don't think he's a first round pick. They would take him if he fell that far, right? But I love him. I had an arrow pointing up on him. Quick, agile, athletic. Again, tackles left a lot to be desired on the field, and that's fine. That's fine. I mean, there's no issue with that. I mean, that's okay. He's a prospect. He needs work. But he started on that list. Second, and we're working our down up. Omar Norman Lott, and oh my lord, watch his tape. He doesn't play a lot, which is an issue, but powerful, really good hands, good pass rush moves. Didn't play a lot. Third down D lineman. Good pass rusher. Wish he played more. Solid run defender. Not a great game versus Georgia. And nobody on that Tennessee defensive line played a good game against Georgia. Again, don't understand it. And we'll talk about that with Deion Walker. Makes no sense, right? Because this team got bullied at times, right? But again, I think Omar Norman Lott benefited from not playing as much. But if that's the production I get with giving him breaks, sign me in. Sign me in. He's swim-moving guys. He's quick. He has good feet, good hands. Georgia, he got a little manhandled. He didn't create as much, and that was a bit of an issue. But watching him against Bama, against Tyler Booker, who's going to be a first-round guard, Parker's Belford, Proctor, dude, he's having his way, his way, and I mean, athletic. Fast. He was solid against Georgia, made some plays. I think he had a better game than James Pierce Jr. against Georgia. But Bama, him and James Pierce Jr. were harassing Milroe. And that may have been what hurt Milroe, was that Milroe got in his head. He was getting harassed. But, at the same time, you're like, come on, Jalen. But yeah, I love him. And then first, the top of it, who I think is a borderline first-round pick, Darius Alexander, dude, is a dog. You better learn his name. He's a 3-4 defensive end, 4-3 D tackle. Really much tape watch was against Bowling Green. He took Penn State to the line. But he's fast, 3-down D lineman, strong, good hands, versatile, can play all 4 spots. Really high upside. Really high upside. Holy cow, that's what I put. Great against the run. Violent hands. Like, it's disruptive chaos. It's just good. Watch it. Watch his tape. Right? He didn't have that many sacks, and I guess it's because he didn't get there in time. Quarterbacks got their hand. Like, Georgia, they were like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Georgia doesn't have that many sacks, right? It's when Hendon Hooker played for Tennessee. Georgia doesn't have that many sacks. And then towards the end of the week, everyone's like, well, the ball is released the quickest in college football against them, right? It's like 2 point something second. Like, it's quick routes. And then they played Tennessee, and Tennessee tried to hit some deep balls, and they sacked the quarterback. And you're like, oh. Darius Alexander, I think, suffered the same thing. But dude, holy cow. He's an early second round, early first rounder. Or late first rounder. Someone who, if the Eagles re-sign Mekhi Becton, I'm circling Darius Alexander. Because then Gray's able to go into the Titans. And we'll talk about the offensive line cost down in a minute. But if Darius Alexander, Eagles. And if he goes to the Eagles, holy cow. Your Milton Williams replacement, your Josh Sweat replacement, which I think Josh Sweat's going to be replaced by Nolan Smith, Joe Hunt, and Mario Jomo are going to help replace the other hole. They may sign someone else. They also have Bryce Huff. At some point, Bryce Huff's got to pop off. But Darius Alexander, versatile like Milton Williams, holy cow. It's going to be crazy. Right? But that's my third tier. Fourth tier. This is going to be quicker. Aeneas Peebles, J.J. Pughes, and Deion Walker. Aeneas Peebles had a good senior ball. Didn't find much cut-ups of him. He looked good. Very good run defender. 2-down lineman, though. J.J. Pughes had like 8 rushing touchdowns. Clog in the middle. He's a stout nose guard. I'd say nose guard. 3-4 D tackle. He just hold his ground. He's not going to wow you, but he's not going to suck. He's going to have a long career of signing like 1 to 2 year deals around the league. Just being a very solid defensive lineman. And then you have Deion Walker, the 6'7" mammoth. And man, my notes on him is rough, right? Terrible leverage. Stands straight up. It's weird. He starts and then he just goes. And you're like, what are we doing? What are we doing, right? But I'll finish it. Very raw, massive potential. Gets pushed around a lot by Georgia. Athletic, 6'7" with terrible pad level. Lazy. Gonna need work. Better as a pass rusher against Ole Miss. Shows his upside. Meh motor. At Georgia, they ran the ball right at him. And he did nothing. If the play started to get away from him so much, he just started walking. If he knew the guy was starting to gap him a little bit, instead of being that backside stopper, he started walking. And at times, he'd go, and he's just looking around, and it's just like, dude, what are we doing? You're now out of the play. Like, he's just got his eyes in the backfield. Like, you're told to have your eyes in the backfield, but, like, he just stops. And it's so frustrating because he's a freaking nature. Potential first-round pick if you put it together. They're just like, dude, what are we doing here? What is happening? You can be so good, yet you aren't. It's just lazy. The motor, times he gets up. Ole Miss, though, he was throwing people around. You're like, where was this against Georgia? Right? Like, where was this? He was in the back. He was a Derek Harmon-esque performance in Elmore Norman Lott against Alabama. He's in the backfield almost every play. He was harassing Jackson Dart, which I think, looking back at that now, is the reason why they lost that game. Now, he's a deflection machine. He got one against Carson Beck. I think he got a few against Jackson Dart. He puts his hands up, and it's like a 7'3" wingspan. And you're like, holy cow, what are we going to do? You got to, like, arc it over him. But it's just the passer. When he's rushing the passer and he's on it, great hands, throws dudes around. The issue is he stands straight up. and you can hit him before he can hit you, and then he stops. He's like, "Oh, I'm too high up. I'm not going anywhere." But if he stays low, lo and behold, he is on you, and you're screwed. But it's so rare that he does that. I mean, the Ole Miss game was the one game where I'm like, oh, okay. And there he didn't wow me, but he looked better. And I could start to see what everybody else is seeing in De'Aaron Walker. Like, you can see in the Georgia game, but like, you're like, it won't happen. Then he plays Ole Miss, and you're like, okay, I can see the tea leaves, right? That's what some people say. I can read the room. I can understand why you love him. But he's going to need time. He's going to need. I mean, the pad level is a massive issue, right? Now we're gonna go quickly through this edge class, right? So tier 1, Abdul Carter. What more do I need to say? Right? It's being beat like a nail. Tier 2, Michael Williams, Mike Green, Jalen Walker. Michael Williams is a prototype. Long, strong, physical, athletic. It's just he got hurt, and I think everyone's like, well, he had bad production all of college. He was hurt about every year. Outside of his freshman year, when he put up really good stats on a stacked defensive line, he had like 4 or 5 sacks. There were times where he missed time last year and then missed time this year. And so, like, if you want to be sold on him, watch the Texas tape. Him and Jalen Walker, you're like, dear God. Oh, like I thought you have. At some point, you started feeling bad for Quinn Ewers and Archie Manning. At one point, they're seeing ghosts because Kelvin Banks or Cameron Williams, 2 guys who are supposed to be top picks. Cameron Williams came in the year being a first-round pick. It's now a second or third. Kelvin Banks struggled mightily in both matches. I don't think he played in the second matchup. They just couldn't get a hold of him. I mean, they're just going in and out. They're stunning. I mean, both of them are lining up. Walker's as a linebacker and Michael Williams as a DN. And they are stunting. Like, Walker's going towards the guard. Michael's backing and going, or towards the tackle. Michael Williams going behind him, going towards the guard. And it's confusion. It's mayhem. Right? If there's questions around Jalen Walker and where he's going to play, I think he's a 2-down linebacker probably and a 3rd-down pass rusher. Where he does not, in pass situations, he's going after the passer or spying. I think he's a good run stopper up the middle. Very Micah Parsons-esque. I know Abdul Carter. I think we got 2 of them in this draft class, right? It's okay to have. I know everyone's like, can't really say that, but it's like, yes, you can. I'll say it. Mike Green, he has 17.5 sacks. And when first day of the Senior Bowl, you're like, okay, he's fast, good bend, athletic. I want to see power. I want to see physicality. And then he opens up the first snap he's in, runs through Josh Connor, who at one point, when I watched his highlights, I'm like, top 15 pick. Bullies right through Josh Connor, and you're like, okay, mid-first, not like early second, mid-first. Right? Michael, and he might be the 3rd guy out of the top, out of that 3. And that's fine, right? He's still going to go from 10 to 17. Like, Jalen Walker might go because Walker and Michael Williams nerfed each other's stats because if the other one wasn't playing, they'd get a lot more sacks. And if Chaz Chambliss and Damian Wilson were on that team, they used to get more sacks too. Because that Georgia team stacked, right? The Trayvon Walker, it took him a few years, but it still worked out, right? Tier 3, Shemar Stewart and James Pierce Jr. and Nick Scored. Shemar Stewart, massive potential. He's a project. But powerful. Some people see speed. I see power. That might be because I'm a rookie. James Pierce Jr., athletic. It jumps off the screen. I mean, it's just wow. Quick first step. Good bend. I need to see him go through the offensive tackle more. And I need to see him be a factor more in the running game. He was a non-factor in big games in the running game. Disappeared. And, I mean, he was rotating, and it was like rotating through too. Like, he missed a few plays to come back in. Like, when him and Omar Norman-Lott were in, there were issues at times, but at times they were like, Omar Norman-Lott was the only guy doing anything. Right? So, it's just, I don't know. Nick Scorton, opposite Shemar Stewart. Fast, needs some power. And that's fine, right? Next up, you got Donovan Ezeruku in Tier 4, Jack Sawyer, JTT, and Princely Imam Mignon, and Kyle Kennard. And tier 5 is Landon Jackson, Jared Ivey, Josiah Stewart, and Oladejo. So let's explain it. Donovan Ezeruku is a lesser version of James Pierce Jr. That's not a problem. He's athletic, good first step, but he's a 3-4 outside linebacker, 4-3 defensive end that has to line up outside the tackle. Has to. He cannot be in the month of it because he'll get in trouble. Like, it won't work out for him. Right? He's just too small. He needs to put some more weight on. But the potential's there. He's going to harass some quarterbacks. Jack Sawyer, the best way to describe him is the pass coverage ability of T.J. Watt with the pass rush ability of Andrew Van Ginkel. I see a lot of Andrew Van Ginkel and Jack Sawyer. And that's fine. See a lot of Andrew Van Ginkel. I said this when I recorded earlier. It jumps out of the screen. It's hard to read Jack Sawyer, and that was the issue when I had him like in the late second, and then I watched him in the playoffs, and I was like, holy cow, this guy's a machine. Him and JTT. His name, but Andrew Van Ginkel, he's going to play a while, he's going to get a lot of sacks. He's going to be solid. You're not going to, like, when he's on your team, you're not going to be like, man, we could do much better. I'm like, okay, we've got a versatile outside linebacker here. All right. Not great pass coverage. That's why I gave him T.J. Watt, but it can be it. But good. He's not a T.J. Watt pass rusher, right? JTT, he's got more power, and at times he leaves there stuff to be desired. But man, he's strong. A guy that will probably need some time. He'll be a second-round pick too. You're going to see a lot of defensive ends and D tackles fly off the board in the first 3 rounds. Todd McShay said he had 30. Great 3-round grades, right? What is the tier? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 27 total are going to come off the board. Now that's, Ashton Gelante, Swanson, there's a few other guys that will probably end up going in the 3rd round that I haven't covered. I covered more top 2 round guys. Right. But JTT is going to be a monster. Prince Uman Mignelin is a lesser version of James Pierce Jr. Very athletic, explosive first step. Great bend, but needs some more size, needs some more physicality, needs to be better in the run. I just need to see more from him. Kyle Kennard is a problem, and I don't understand why. He's going to be a high floor, low ceiling type of player, but man, he's disruptive, and he's going to be a problem in this league. He's going to be a guy that will probably be, a Dante Fowler-esque guy with a better run stopping, more disruptive. Dante Fowler pass rush though, and he's going to be an issue. I watch his highlights in college. He was a problem. I promise you, I watched South Carolina games for him because he was such an issue. You're just like, holy cow. Holy cow. He harassed Nussmeier. He harassed Milrow. And he's just a dog. He was like 3rd in the... You have Mike Green, Ezeruku, Kyle Kennard. Your top 3 in sacks. Going to go in the top 2 rounds. If he falls to mid to late 2nd or early 3rd, you got to steal in Kyle Kennard. I will say that now. Right? Now, tier 4. Landon Jackson, I don't see what everybody else sees. I see power, but I want to see more. I need to see more athleticism. Again, he played at Arkansas. That's just not enough for me. Jared Ivey, he's 285. He's bigger. I project a rotational defensive end. At his peak, he'll start and probably get you like 8 sacks, but I view him as a rotational defensive end. Josiah Stewart's powerful, strong, freak. He's inconsistent as the day is long. And Oladejo, raw. Again, just like Abdul Carter, just got moved from off-ball linebacker to edge, and the traits are there. He's just a lot rawer than Abdul Carter, and he's going to need some more time. But to quickly, players I want to see at the combine, Nick Nash is somebody I'm really excited to see. Kyle McCord, Tyler Shuck, this running back class I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see how Josh Simmons goes and Benjamin Morrison and Siobhan Regal. I'm interested to see this receiver class, how they shape up. This safety class, who's going to be safety 3? Is it Billy Bowman? Is it Xavier Watts? Is it Kevin Winston? But, yeah, that's all for today's episode. Hopefully this recorded. We'll do our recording Friday. But, yeah, thank y'all. See y'all next time.